Here we have a selection of the suckler cows on the farm. Suckler cows, again, they're made up of Limousin cross Sallier. There's some Semitol in the background, an odd Charlie one in it. And these are all autumn calving cows, so the target start date for calving is the 1st of August every year. Now some will come a bit earlier into the last week of July, but the target starting date is the 1st of August. And they'll calve August, September, and I'll have 90% calved by the end of September. Even more, I'll have maybe 95, 96% calved by the end of September. So these cows are putting calf. They were putting calf from 15th of October last year. They're in calf to Charlie and Limousin AI sires. Picked out based on the replacement index. So I'm looking for an easy calving bull that has good milk traits, but also has good carcass traits. And I'll discuss that later on in terms of the bulls that I look down into the index a bit further. I've no stock bull on the farm at the moment, but if I do continue to increase the suckler cow numbers, I may purchase a stock bull or breed a stock bull myself from my pedigree seller herd. So the biggest disadvantage to working off farm is watching these cows to get them back in heat. So it's very important that you keep a close eye on them. I have cameras in the shed there, and working out okay with the cows, getting them back in calf. Haven't had too many problems. So as you see, the Sallier cows, they're as quiet as any other breed. I do like them because they have plenty of milk, and they are an easy calving cow that you can put a Charlie on them and they'll give you a good quality calf, and they'll most likely calve themselves. Again, important for the part-time farmer working off farm. So here we have a selection of the bull weanlings. These bull weanlings are about 10 months old at this stage. So what I do with the bull weanlings is I sell them live at about 11 to 12 months old to a beef finisher. Rather than take on the cost of finishing these bulls in an under 16-month system, where I don't really have the housing, there's cash flow risks, there's price risks, and just the risk-reward ratio, I've decided not to go down the bull finishing route. I carried out calculations in the past, and I didn't feel it was a risk worth taking. So most of these bulls will go to a beef finisher. They're finished in an under 16-month system, but sometimes they go to an under 20-month system. The aim is to get these bull weanlings into 450 kgs plus at 11 months of age, and then move them on at the best price possible to a beef finisher. Some might ask, have I taken a hit on the bull weanlings by going down the replacement index route and using high replacement index bulls? Well, the answer is no, because my main aim is to get as much kgs out the gate as possible. And the types of bulls I'm using, they're a combination that have high replacement index traits, high maternal traits, but they also have good terminal traits. And that's something I'm watching on the ICBF index lately, is that I'm drilling down into the Eurostars, and I'm looking for bulls that have a high carcass weight index also, not just looking at the replacement index only, but looking for bulls that are good on the replacement index, easy calving, and have a high carcass weight that'll give you that quality bull for sale also. You can see here there's a selection of beef heifers. These are heifers I purchased in the spring, early in the spring. I tried to get them in as early as possible. They come in as year-olds, and I bring them to beef off grass at 20 to 24 months of age. The heifers I buy are an Angus limousine type that will grade into an R with a carcass weight of over 280 kgs. My own heifers are added to this group as well, my own beef heifers, and they will come into a heavier carcass weight of over 350 kgs. The main aim here is to get as many cattle slaughtered off grass as possible, so that you're not feeding meal and not running into an expensive winter period where you're feeding silage and meal over the winter to keep the weight on and using up housing facilities that you may not have. So as I say, the reason to get them slaughtered off grass is that you don't have that added cost of the winter, because that cost would make this system unviable. Given the type of heifer they are, they're not coming into a big carcass weight, so you cannot have any costs associated with the winter with them heifers. The heifers I buy in will be slaughtered about 550 kgs. They'll have a kill out of about 51%. And my own heifers will come in to over 620 kgs and they'll have a kill out of about 56%. Here we have a selection of replacement heifers. These heifers are Salyer limousine cross heifers. Most of these heifers will be bred to calve as 2-year-olds. There's an odd one that will calve as a 3-year-old. I have a set of twins in this, so they were a bit lighter last year. They weren't really up for bulling, so I held on to them, and I'll breed them this year. The start of the breeding season for the heifers is the 15th of October, and I'll breed on the heifers for about 6 or 7 weeks to try to get them calving early in the season. So I aim to bull the heifers at around anything from 390 kgs up. Them heifers will be about 15 months at that stage. They should be a good bit heavier. They should come up to maybe 480 kgs of that. For the first year, they'll go and calf to a AI Salyer bull or an AI limousine bull. The trickiest part, I suppose, working part-time is trying to spot heifers in heat. When you're not running a stock bull with them, it's more difficult. And it's probably the biggest issue I had in the farm over the last few years is spotting heifers to get them in calf. So that's something I'm going to work on this year. I'm looking at a couple of different options to get them heifers in calf around synchronization and that sort of thing. Here are some of the silage bales I made this year so far. I started cutting from the 3rd week of May on. I take a main silage cut at the end of the 3rd week of May on. Last year my silage tested 75, 76 and 76 DMD. And the reason I cut early is to get good quality silage for feeding to the autumn calving cows, because I don't want to feed any meal to the cows at all during the winter, because it would just make the system uneconomical. My aim is that top quality silage, 75 plus DMD, and the reason you want to keep condition on the cows to get them back in calf. You don't want them losing condition in the shed over the winter, so you need to keep good energy into them, keep them in good shape, but not adding to your cost by having to provide meal to them. And the other thing is, when you're calving heifers at 2 years old, you need to keep them pushed on over the first winter, which will be the winter that you put them in calf. You need them putting on weight over that winter. Good evening all, I hope you can hear me. I've just finished my grass measuring walk. That's the grass measuring plate there in front of me. I hope you can hear me. It's a bit windy down here, just half a mile from the sea. I've had some questions in during the day, some questions on the AI bulls I'm using, a bit about the type of heifer I'm buying in and what happens with them when I buy them in, and I've had some questions about reseeding. And I'll come back to the reseeding later on and the bulls I'm using, and I want to do a bit on reseeding and soil fertility. So a few things to say on that. First of all, I just want to show you my paddock system. So you can see the beef heifers there, they're just after getting moved to fresh grass. Not a very heavy cover on it, but we'll see that later on in the measurements. They're only spending about a day and a half in paddocks down here at the moment, and with 10 paddocks that means they're going around the farm in about 15 days. Which is a little too short. You want them about 20 days going around the farm. So that's just due to low covers, but hopefully the growth will come with that bit of rain we had. But getting back to the paddocks, very simple system. So we have the electric fence wire coming in there, some handles, lots of poly wire used around the farm, and drinkers. And the main thing I want to show you here is the water pipe for the drinkers. It's all left above ground. So if you want to move it at any stage again, and it's going just under the wire, you see the wire there above it, you know where it is. And that's fine, get set up like that. It's a low cost system, you don't need to get in a machine to bury the pipe or anything. Polywire, pigtails, gate handles and drinkers. The drinkers will be the most expensive thing. But once you get set up a paddock system, you'll never go back to set grazing around the field. So this is just a quick little video. I want to show you my wild bird cover. This is part of the glass scheme. It's been planted every year for the past 5 years. It's my 5th year in it. So you can see a bit of growth there, a bit of colour coming into the wild bird cover. Beside it is traditional hay meadow, which won't be cut until the 1st of July. Okay, we're here in a shed I built 2 years ago. It's a shed I've put in. I have a lot of space in it, a lot of gates in it. You're dealing with suckler cows, big animals, can be dangerous around calving, so I have a good strong calving gate here. It's very important on a farm. We all know eventually at some stage you're going to need to put a cow in, restrain her. You might end up having to do a cesarean on her or help her calve. It's important to have a good gate, good facilities, good light. You can see plenty of gates around it, so you have a cow calved in a pen. You don't need to go into the pen with the cow and calf, you can stay outside, see that the calf is sucked. You can see the crush here then. Crush here, good sturdy crush. The head locking gate up here, self-locking gate. Each section opens, if you get into trouble and an animal goes down. And also in addition I put in is a backing bar. It's very handy for weighing cattle. You put them up in the crush with the backing bar in behind them, they don't go back on you.
Try that, Trevor, now.
So here in the home block, the silage ground, main cut of silage is taken here around the sheds, and I get all this slurry spread in the springtime using low emission slurry spreading technique from a contractor. A contractor comes in the spring and spreads 100% of the slurry in the spring, mainly on the silage ground, but some on the grazing ground as well that's close to the sheds. As I say, this time of year, I need to keep an eye on the cows for any signs of possible mastitis. I don't want them getting anything during the summer. So my treatment there last week, they got a treatment of a spot on, a pour on, just to keep the flies away. I also have some lick buckets out with them, garlic lick buckets. Hopefully they'll do a job of keeping the flies away. And from about this week on now, I'm going to tar these cows once a week. So stock them tar. They'll come into the yard, open the crush gate, they'll walk up themselves.
put a bit of tar in the elder to keep the flies away, and I'll do that about once a week until they start calving, so through June, July I tar these cows. As I say, the average weight of the cows came in at 650 kgs during the week. So obviously the younger first calving cows are a bit lighter. There's a cow there, surprised me, she came in at 802 kgs. The first time she's been up at that weight. That's a cow that's calved as a 2-year-old. So you can...
Hello everybody, my name is David Fennelly, and together with my father Tom, we are hosting a virtual farm walk from our farm here in Teagasc, County Laois tomorrow. As you can see, the cows are grazing away happily here behind me, and we'll see them bright and early in the morning. Our farm walk will begin at 9:30 on Teagasc Instagram and Twitter pages, and we'll also be speaking to Stuart Childs on the Let's Talk Dairy webinar series at 10:30. So we look forward to welcoming you all to our farm, albeit from a distance, but we'll see you tomorrow.
Good morning everyone, and welcome to Teagasc. My name is Tom Fennelly, and I'm farming here with my wife Florence and my son David, and also in the family we have Ian and Laura who help us out from time to time. As part of the Blondie Teagasc Future Farm Programme, we were due to hold a farm walk here on the farm today. But with the COVID restrictions, that plan had to change, and we're going to hold a virtual farm walk.
So, the farm comprises of 106 hectares, and this year we're milking 206 cows, and we're also carrying 74 replacement units. So the overall farm stocking rate then is 2.66, and we're stocked a little heavier on the milking platform. So, on the farm on a day-to-day basis is my father Tom, myself, and Adrian Luttrell, who's with us over 20 years now at this stage. In terms of facilities then, we're making a 20-unit herringbone parlour with ACRs, auto drafting, and we also have now a lubricant for every cow on the farm.
Now this is a map of the farm, and our biggest advantage is that the land is all in one block, with the farmyard pretty much centrally located. We have a network of roads that gives us access to all paddocks with the cows, and a water system that provides water to each paddock as well.
So, firstly, I'd like to welcome you all to Let's Talk Dairy webinar with Stuart Childs, live from the field at 10:30. Following on from that then, we'll be discussing the grass, the cows, biodiversity on the farm, and creating a great workplace. So, we're delighted to welcome you all here today, and we look forward to all the interaction during the day.